Welcome to Forgotten Stories with Aaron Darcy. Here is where we explore some events that have helped to shape the history of Guyana and the Caribbean. Today we will be discussing Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham was a Guyanese and Caribbean leader who was involved in politics from the early 1940s until his death in 1985. He was an ardent nationalist, a founder of the People's Progressive Party and leader of the People's National Congress. These have been and remain the two main political parties in this former British colony, situated on the northeastern coast of South America. Hi there, and welcome once again to Forgotten Stories, with me, Aaron Darcy. Thanks for joining me on this journey through time as we explore some of the events that shaped the history of Guyana and the Caribbean. Forbes Burnham was born on February 20, 1923 in the suburb of Kitty in Georgetown, the capital of Guyana. He was a brilliant student from his early years, attending the Kitty Methodist School and Central High School before moving on to the prestigious secondary school, Queen's College, where he met one of his future political colleagues, Cheddi Jagan. At Queen's College, Burnham excelled among his peers, receiving the Centenary Exhibition Award in 1936, the Government Junior Award in 1937, and the Percival Exhibition Award in 1938. In 1942, as the top student, he won the coveted British Guiana Scholarship to study at the University of London. Because this was in the middle of the Second World War, he was unable to travel to the United Kingdom, so he took a position of assistant master at Queen's College and during his tenure, completed a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of London through external examinations. After he was allowed to travel, he went to London where he obtained a law degree from the London School of Economics in 1947. He became president of the West Indian Student Union at that university for the year 1947-1948, passed the bar in 1948, and became a member of the Honourable Society of Gray's Inn. This is one of the 4 professional associations for barristers and judges in London. While in London, Burnham met many African students who would later become leading political figures in their countries. He also studied with future Caribbean leaders like Michael Manley of Jamaica and Errol Barrow of Barbados. From among several talented orators, Burnham won the Best Speakers Cup, which was a prize awarded by the Faculty of Law. During this time he also became a valued member of the League of Coloured Peoples, a British civil rights organisation in Britain. Burnham left the United Kingdom to return to British Guiana in 1948 and in 1949 joined the law chambers of Cameron and Shepherd in Georgetown. Not long afterwards he set up his own private law practice. His oratorical skills and dynamic personality led him to be elected leader of the British Guiana Labour Party, BGLP, which had been formed in 1946, and in the 1947 elections his party won 5 of 14 seats in the Legislative Council, making him the party with the largest number of seats. Less than a year after his return from the United Kingdom, Burnham became one of the founders of the People's Progressive Party, PPP, which was launched on January 1, 1950. The Guyanese Labour leader Cheddi Jagan was elected leader of the PPP. His wife Janet Jagan became the secretary and Burnham was chosen as the first party chairman. Jagan had been the leader of the Political Affairs Committee, which merged with Burnham's Labour Party to form the PPP. Burnham chose the name of the new party. But more powerful colonial forces shortly afterwards engineered a split in the PPP, leading to the formation of the People's National Congress with Burnham as its leader. Now as an educated lawyer, Burnham had become instrumental in the foundation of 2 political parties, the People's National Congress and the People's Progressive Party. These 2 would subsequently write the political history of Guyana. His political career had taken off. Forbes Burnham served as Premier of British Guiana from 1964 to 1966 and led the country to independence from Great Britain. The Declaration of Independence made him the Prime Minister of Guyana, and he served in this role from 1964 to 1980. During this period, many foreign-owned businesses, like the Booker's sugar industry and the bauxite industries among others, were nationalized. In 1980, Guyana, under Burnham's leadership, shed all ties with the British Crown and declared itself as the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, with Burnham as the first executive president. He would remain unchallenged in this role until his death in 1985. His rule as leader of the PNC lasted for 30 years, during which time the people of Guyana suffered extreme hardships. His rule was characterized by food shortages, power outages, ruthless suppression of any opposition to his power, and the total destruction of the economy. He was accused of favoring members of his PNC party, for the most part composed of Afro-Guyanese, and during this time, the country saw an exodus of people with money and education and those considered to be Indo-Guyanese. There was also state-sanctioned violence, corruption, and electoral fraud during this time. He was considered a strongman and pursued his own kind of socialist rule. The country was introduced to many forms of this type of socialism with the introduction of mass games, national service, and ties with countries like China, Russia, and Cuba. The population was kept under heavy control by threats of invasion from Venezuela and stories of so-called capitalist terrorism, and for the most part everyone managed to just get by. During this time, shady organizations like the House of Israel was given a lot of authority. For many years after, Guyana was mainly known for being the location of the Jonestown tragedy. There was the so-called free education from kindergarten to university, but the standard of education fell greatly as certificates and graduation from university seemed to favor supporters of the ruling party. Some educated Guyanese unable to get paying jobs, got involved in the black market economy in some way or another. It was not unusual to see former high school and university students selling cigarettes or other commodities on street corners. This thriving black market economy grew over the 70s and 80s and became an accepted way of life for Guyanese. The more enterprising of the Guyanese people traveled to neighboring countries like Suriname, Trinidad, Venezuela, and Barbados to trade in this black market economy, and they became scorned by many Caribbean people for their poverty. Guyanese became the beggars of the Caribbean under Burnham's rule. But on the other hand, Burnham was a founder of the CARICOM group of nations, and his leadership did help create a new awareness of the power of so-called third world countries. He was very instrumental in promoting Carifesta, or the Caribbean Festival of Creative Arts. He also established the Guyana National Service, which according to reliable sources, was intended among other things, to pioneer new settlements in remote parts of the country. The banning of many food items forced Guyanese to become self-sufficient in many ways. Guyanese became very self-sufficient and toughened during this time, and many small cottage industries sprung up due to demands for consumer products. The food import bill was greatly reduced as well as the national fuel bill. After his death in 1985, the party got a new leader and the country got a new president, Hugh Desmond Hoyt, who had been Burnham's economy minister. Hoyt managed the country, and under his leadership, the first free and fair elections in 30 years, were held in 1992, resulting in a resounding victory for the opposition PPP. These elections were observed by the Carter Center and persons from some Caribbean and international bodies. This change of government resulted in rioting, looting, murder and mayhem, carried out by supporters of the losing party. The new government received little or no support from the police force. Members of the security services were considered extended arms of the party that had just lost power. Burnham had ruled with an iron fist clothed in velvet, and he was a seasoned diplomat in most everything he did. To meet him, unless he considered you a threat, was indeed a pleasure. Some feared him while others admired him and saw in him a nationalist who wanted to mold a nation out of many different races. Perhaps he was way ahead of his time, but then again, perhaps he was the catalyst of a new Guyana that we see emerging in the 21st century. Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham remains an indelible part of the history of Guyana and the Caribbean, and his story must never be forgotten. Thank you for joining me as we travel through time to revisit events in the history of Guyana and our Caribbean region. I look forward to sharing much more with you when we meet again. Goodbye for now.